Hello and welcome to the oncoming Brainstorm.
I'm Samuel.
And I'm Lewis. We are here today to talk about the third part to the War Master 3 box set, The Missing Link.
I was very excited to talk about The Missing Link because, of course, we have the 8th Doctor joining us, played by the wonderful Paul McGann, who, following Big Finish's tremendous output, has become one of my favourite Doctors. I absolutely love him on audio.
Yeah, and at this point he's quite seasoned. Like, he's done a lot of Big Finish stuff, and there's particular stories I love with him in, like Chimes of Midnight, Neverland. He's really nailed it by this point, so it's really fun to see him against Derek Jacobi. But we'll get into that as we go along.
The interesting thing about The Missing Link is that it's a part one of a two-part story. However, it largely, you can listen to this on its own, right? There's a clear beginning, a clear ending, and it works. But it also has a very clear tying into the following part where things get resolved properly. You have the master scheme finally revealed, where he's been taking all these members of alien races, special members, and gathering them all at this big hospital base on a dead planet. And he's harvesting their unique genes for as yet unknown purpose.
And it just so happens Alice Pritchard from the first part gets caught up in all of this. A really messed up thing about this story is that all the scientists working in this hospital base that are working for the Master, they kind of glorify the Master like, oh, he's such a genius, what he's doing is fantastic. Yeah. And I don't think they quite understand what's really going on. They're just so passionate about the research and the science behind it, but it's really messed up what's actually happening. And there is one scene where they talk about not humanizing the subjects, like don't give them names, just, you know, as Alice, you got to refer to her as just number 0. You can't call her Alice. Oh,
I actually quite like that, where they talk about how, you know, gathering these creatures together and harvesting their genetic code is actually a good thing, right? Because they're preserving their unique things for eternity, whereas these creatures would have died alone on their planet and have been gone to waste. And it's funny how they like kind of moralise this horrible thing that they're doing.
We also get introduced to a new character, Mandrake, who's one of the scientists in the base, and he becomes more important later on. Leading on from that, we go towards some of the stuff with the Master confronting Alice and kind of tormenting her. Alice has like a similar reaction as to Priya did with the Master, where she's just like, I hate you, you're awful, you're just using me for this whole weird ass science experiment. And the Master is loving it. Yeah. He's loving it, seeing her in pain and torment. But then we get a really great scene where Alice is channeling her powers, and she does link into the Master's mind, and she actually sees his fears, which is really interesting because we very rarely see the Master in fear. And Jacobi plays it so well, where he just jumps out of his skin as soon as Alice realises that she's seeing his fear and terror of the Time War.
And leading on, you get, you know, the reveal that somewhere out there is the 8th Doctor. And it's a wonderful scene where she's like, I see someone else on the very edges, hiding on the fringes of the wall in little pockets, and there he is. And she sort of calls out to him, and then the Master has a big freak out.
Paul McGann is just fantastic. We haven't really spoken about him much in the channel, but I love his portrayal of the 8th Doctor, and he just swoops in as the hero of the story seamlessly.
Compared to, like, let's say the 13th Doctor, here, 8th Doctor, not even that important to the story, shows up, he's instantly the Doctor.
Absolutely, yeah. We also lead into the fact that her psychic powers actually mess up the Doctor's mind quite a bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parts where Paul McGann plays it quite well. He's kind of dazed and confused. She kind of messes up his sense of where he is, when he is, what's really going on. So in a way, it kind of nerfs the Doctor's powers a little bit so that he can work in this story where the Master is the true protagonist. He's the true victor.
Yeah, as it goes along, he sort of steadily gets more and more confused, and you're like, why is he sort of not as like sharp as he usually is? And of course, it's revealed at the end in a wonderful fashion. And funny enough, you have the Doctor who's been confused throughout the story about who is behind this grand old experiment going on, and that all is revealed about why all that's going on when they finally get towards the Master. And yeah, he's been expecting them. This was his plan all along. In fact, his plan was for Alice to escape. His plan was for her to send out a psychic pulse to call in the Doctor, because of course he can't resist a damsel in distress and so forth. It was the perfect kind of trap to lure the Doctor here. And I think that is all wonderfully done. Like, that is totally reasonable, and it all slides on in. Like, I believe that that's a reasonable thing for him to have planned.
Yeah, it's a massive contrast to like with Coney Island Chameleon, where you're like, why is the Master going to all this effort? Here with this massive year-long plan, it really comes together really nicely.
Yeah, and of course, as it's revealed, Alice is just furious with the Master and wants to try and kill him. It doesn't work, and he just blasts over his laser screwdriver, which I am very happy to see return.
Oh yeah, love the sound of that. And yeah, again, it reminds me of a lot of the stuff in the Heavenly Paradigm, where, I mean, spoilers, but Cole gets killed off very dismissively, just very like, yeah, whatever. Like the Master just kills people, not even thinking about it twice, like as if he's just, you know, making a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Just a casual, everyday thing for a Time Lord.
And then the Doctor gets brought in for surgery as they remove a crucial part of his brain or something or other, and they fuse it into their main project. And yeah, the Doctor's like awake as they're like performing brain surgery, which is pretty like, oh, okay. And yeah, and it's finally revealed what the project is, the Rage of the Time Lords, which is all unpacked in the following story. So in summary, I love The Missing Link.
Me too.
It's one of my favourite War Master stories. So Lewis, how highly would you rate The Missing Link compared to other War Master stories?
Well, for me personally, at the top is The Skyman. The Missing Link is really entertaining. I did listen to it back about a month ago, and it was really fun, and it is, like you mentioned, tightly paced, it's very fast.
It's tricky because I think Missing Link is like a better constructed story than Darkness and Light, and yet I prefer Darkness and Light just because you get so much more of Jacobi and the Eighth Doctor interacting. It's one of those things where, like, yeah, it's more flawed, and we'll get into those later, but like, it also reaches like higher heights for me.
I think it all depends what you compromise in terms of storytelling. Like, do you want something that's really functional and really tight, or do you want something that actually gives you the big feels and the big fun?
So, thank you very much for watching, and that was The Missing Link. Join us next time.
See you then, take care, and goodbye.